Most Airbnb hosts think getting a 5-star review is about having a beautiful place. It's not. I just went through 100 real Airbnb reviews, not the nice ones, the honest ones. And what do guests actually care about? It's completely different from what most people are focusing on. And this is where it gets expensive. Because if you're optimizing the wrong things, you're not just losing stars, you're losing everything. Bookings, repeat guests, and thousands in revenue without even realizing it. What's crazy is there's a pattern behind every 5-star stay. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. So in this video, I'm breaking down the exact 5 things that showed up over and over again. And the first one, if this is off, nothing else you do will matter. Let's start with the one thing that showed up in almost every single review. Cleanliness, and not in a nice to have way. This is pass or fail. Out of the 100 reviews we looked at, the fastest way a guest dropped from a 5-star experience to a 3-star or lower was something as simple as cleanliness. And here's what's interesting. It's almost never something big. It's not this place was filthy. It's small things, a hair in the bathroom, dust on a surface, a smell when they first walk in. That's it. But those small things completely change how the stay feels. Because what's happening here isn't random. There's something in psychology called negativity bias. It means your brain gives more weight to one negative detail than multiple positive ones. So even if everything else is perfect, great location, beautiful design, comfortable bed, that one small issue, it becomes the story. And this isn't just theory. Research from the Cornell School of Hotel Administration shows that cleanliness is one of the strongest predictors of guest satisfaction, but only when it's missing. Meaning, guests don't reward you for being clean, they expect it. But the moment it's off, even slightly, your rating drops disproportionately. Because the moment a guest notices something like that, a switch flips. Now they're not relaxing anymore. They're paying attention. They start thinking, what else did they miss? Is this actually clean? And once that thought starts, everything else gets judged differently. You'll see it in reviews all the time. Great place, amazing location, but it wasn't very clean. That one word, but, is what drops your rating because everything before it gets erased. Think of it like a hotel. You don't praise a hotel for clean sheets, but if they're not, that's all you remember. Same thing here. So before you upgrade anything, design, pricing, amenities, you need a cleaning system that's consistent every single time. Because if this breaks, everything else you do stops mattering. Now here's where most hosts get stuck. They hear be cleaner, but they don't have a system. And without a system, cleanliness becomes inconsistent. So let me give you something practical. We call this the 15-minute turnover check. This is what separates a place that looks clean from one that's review-proof. When your cleaner finishes, you don't just trust it, you verify it. Start with the eye-level scan. Walk into the space and pause. Don't touch anything yet. Just look at any visible dust, clutter, or misalignment. That's exactly what your guest will notice first. Next is the touch test. Run your fingers across the surfaces guests actually use. Countertops, tables, bathroom sinks. If you feel even slight residue or grit, it's not clean. Then comes the white glove zones. These are the areas guests subconsciously judge the hardest. Bathroom edges, shower corners, bed linens, light switches. You don't need an actual glove. Just ask yourself, if this was a hotel inspector, would this pass? And finally, the one most people miss, the smell check, because scent is the fastest emotional trigger. The moment a guest walks in, they're not just seeing your space, They're feeling it. If the air smells stale, heavy, or off, it immediately lowers perceived cleanliness, even if everything looks perfect. So open windows, reset the air, keep it neutral, not artificial. Because here's the truth, clean isn't just visual, it's sensory. And when you stack all four of these together, visual, touch, detail, smell, you create consistency. And consistency is what protects your reviews, because now you're not hoping the space is clean. You're proving it every single time. Let's move to the second thing that kept showing up. And this one is subtle but expensive if you get it wrong. It's not location, it's friction. Because most hosts think, if I'm close to everything, I'm good. But guests don't experience distance the way hosts think they do. They experience effort. Let me give you a quick scenario. You land in a new city. It's late, you're tired. Your Airbnb is 5 minutes away. Sounds perfect, but then you can't find parking. The street is confusing. You walk uphill with luggage. The entrance isn't obvious. Now that 5 minutes feels like 20, and that feeling, that's friction. There's actually a concept in behavioral economics. The more friction something has, the lower its perceived value. So even if your location is technically good, if it doesn't feel easy, guests won't describe it as good, and you'll see it in reviews. Great place, but hard to find. Nice stay, but parking was stressful. And what's interesting is the opposite is also true. If everything feels easy, walkable, smooth, convenient, guests will overrate the experience because ease feels like luxury. So when you think about location, don't just ask, how close is it? Ask, how easy does it feel to live here? Because that's what guests are actually reviewing. Now let's talk about something that most hosts completely underestimate: the first 10 minutes. Because this is where the entire stay gets decided emotionally. Before the guest sees the bedroom, before they use the kitchen, they're already forming a judgment. Let's run two versions of the same stay. Version 1, guest arrives, they're unsure which door to use. The code doesn't work immediately. They message the host and wait. Now, even if everything after that is perfect, the tone is already off. Version 2, they arrive. Clear instructions, door opens instantly, lights are warm, everything feels ready, same property, completely different experience. That's the primacy effect. It's a psychological principle that says the first experience shapes how everything after is perceived. So if check-in feels smooth, everything feels better. If check-in feels stressful, everything feels slightly worse. And you'll see this reflected in reviews. Check-in was super easy. Everything was seamless. Those words matter because what guests are really saying is, I felt taken care of. So if you want better reviews, don't just focus on the stay, focus on the arrival, because that's where the experience actually starts. Now here's something that surprised me. Out of 100 reviews, there was one thing that almost no one talked about, and it's something most hosts spend the most money on. We'll get to that in a second. But first, the next pattern that showed up, the next thing that showed up again and again, was communication, but not in the way you think. It's not about being friendly, it's about being fast, because when guests travel, there's always a level of uncertainty. What if something goes wrong? What if I can't get in? What if I need help? And in those moments, speed equals safety. If a guest sends a message and gets a quick reply, they relax. If they don't, their anxiety goes up. And that anxiety changes how they experience everything. There's a reason Airbnb tracks response rate and response time, because faster responses don't just solve problems, they prevent negative experiences from forming. And you'll see this in reviews. Host was very responsive, quick to help when we needed it. That's not just a compliment, that's trust. Because what guests are really saying is, I felt supported. So even if nothing goes wrong, knowing someone is there, that changes the entire experience. Now this one is where most hosts get it completely backwards. design versus functionality. Because design is visible, functionality is felt, and guests, they feel everything. They notice if there's nowhere to put their luggage, if the outlets are inconvenient, if the seating isn't comfortable, if the kitchen looks good but doesn't work. And here's the problem. A space can look amazing in photos, but still feel frustrating in real life. And when that happens, like, guests don't say nice design. They say not very comfortable, hard to use, wouldn't stay again, because usability drives satisfaction. There's a reason UX design exists in tech. The easier something is to use, the better people rate it. Same exact principle here. So instead of asking, does this look good? Ask, does this work easily? Because that's what guests are actually experiencing. Now let's go back to that thing I mentioned earlier, what barely showed up in 100 reviews. Design, decor, aesthetic. Almost no one talked about it, which is surprising because that's what most hosts spend the most time and money on. But when you look at how people remember experiences, they don't remember how things looked. They remember how things felt. Was it easy? Was it comfortable? Was it smooth? That's what sticks. So if we simplify everything we just went through, here's what actually drives a 5-star stay. Cleanliness, ease, smooth arrival, fast communication, functional space. If you get these 5 right, your listing becomes predictable, and predictability is what builds trust. So if your Airbnb isn't performing the way it should, it's probably not because of your photos. It's not because of your price. It's because one of these 5 is broken. And the thing is, most hosts never figure out which one, but now you know exactly what to look for. So if you want us to break down your listing like this, drop a comment below. And if this helped you see your property differently, follow and save this, because once you understand what guests actually care about, you stop guessing and start building stays that people come back to.